So I recently moved out with my cat. Oh yeah, I'll share with you my moving experience lah, okay? First thing first, when you decide that you want to move out, and first thing you need to plan is your budget. It's very, very costly. Not just the rent part, like even moving in, setting up things, buying things you need, like you wouldn't expect things like that would be expensive. It's things that you never thought of when you're living at home. And then now you're out and you're like, damn, those things are expensive. I'm sorry, grandma. So first thing first, you definitely have to calculate your monthly budget, how much you're spending per month for your rent, and then you gotta factor in your utilities fees, especially your Wi-Fi bill, because everyone needs Wi-Fi right now, right? And it will really affect your choice of if you decide to live alone. So in Malaysia, KL especially, the standard is you need 2 months deposit. Those are refundable. 1 month in advance rent, that will be used in your first month rent. That means first month you don't have to pay rent. There's also the agreement fee. So I asked around before I started because it was my first time renting. For my friends, her agent charged her 10% to 25% of the rent, but my agent stated like a one-off fee lah. So she charged one-off fee of like 300 ringgit, and I agreed to it. 300 was her standard already, and I really liked the place, so I'm willing to compromise on that. But that is non-refundable lah. There's also the SS card fee. So the SS card fee are refundable when you return the SS card, and they'll refund you the money. And it's important to note this all down and have it in your notes, so by the time when you're moving out, you can actually get those money and are able to track like how much you're supposed to get back as well. The only thing that will vary is if they will ask for 2.5 month rent or 2 months rent. So for mine, it's basically 3 months lah. 2 months deposit, 1 month in advance, and my utility deposit. Remember to note it up, because I note mine down because I feel like I will forget. So the next thing that I looked into was to look into the area that I want to live in and I'm comfortable living in. So before this, I was living in Subang, right? I was looking around Subang because that's the area that I was familiar with. But unfortunately, the rent and the space that I was looking at was out of my budget range. So I moved to another area, which I chose this area that I'm living in. So before I chose this area, I actually came to eat here a lot, and I realized that I really like the food and the environment around. My friends call it the old people area, which I like it that way. It's a lot more slow, a lot more private, a lot more just residential. There's no big malls. It's more to locals, and it's quite an old area. So it depends on your lifestyle and the habits that you have. And it has to go down to priorities lah. I can choose wherever I live because I work from home. But you have to consider things like, oh, do you have to commute to work? Do you have to commute to uni? Do you have to commute to college? Are you driving? Do you have a car? Or would you like to take the public transport? Because places that are nearer to a public transport are often more expensive as well. And if you drive and you have to drive to work, you really have to consider the peak hour in KL, because the peak hour for going to work in KL is insane. The jam can go up to 2 hours, and you might have to leave the house 2 hours earlier, and factor in the time that you need to prepare and eat at home and all that. It will take up a whole chunk of your time. If you have to commute to work and you already have your work location, it's best that you stay close to your work lah. But fortunately for me is I don't have to commute to work, so I chose the place that I want to live in instead. And then there are other amenities such as are you the type to go to the mall often? Because I'm not the type to go to the mall often. That was not on my priority. Would you like to use the facilities at your place? I'm very lazy. I go to yoga, but yoga is something that I would like to have an instructor on, so I know that I won't be using the facilities at home. I didn't factor in any facilities. There's just a sundry shop downstairs, and that's what I really need only actually. Do you cook often? Do you have to get weekly groceries? And if so, would it be convenient for you? I'm very lucky. We don't really have a lot of supermarkets that are super near, but we are close to a lot of pasars, because as I said, it's an old people place. So old people go where? Go pasar lah. And what sort of area would you like to live in? Like what kind of neighborhood that you want to live in? Things like needing to do laundry, and places that you're close to ATM. Do you have to go to the ATM often? I don't go to the ATM often. I barely have any cash most of the time. I use a lot of e-wallets, so that was not a concern for me. So while you're looking at all this place, right? From my own experience, one thing that you should definitely do is, after looking at the area you want to live in, and then this way you can narrow it down, the most important thing is to visit the place that you want to live in. Visit the place. When you drive there, how do you feel when you're going there? And when you get to the actual space, how do you feel when you walk in? How do you envision your space to be like? Is this what you want, or is it close to what you want? So you can look at the rooms. Are you the type that you would want to emphasize more on your rooms? Because different people have different habits. I don't need such a big closet space or wardrobe, so I don't need such a big space for getting ready and things like that. But I do want to have a nice living space because I like hosting, and my kitchen is basic and adequate is enough. I love big windows and I want my place to be bright. So I chose my place is very bright from all sides, like from my workroom to my bedroom and to my living space. They're all bright except for one guest room which I don't use. That was my trade-off. But are you the type that you need a bigger toilet? What kind of bathroom that you're looking for? Are you the type that you cook more? Kitchen, I would like to cook, but I don't think that I'll be cooking a lot, so I chose like a basic adequate kitchen that I can use. How many rooms do you need? Do you have pets? Because I do have one cat. I figured that my cat would need a lot more space to zoom, but turns out he really just likes small places. Is the place like pet friendly? So when I actually walk past to my area, I noticed that my neighbors has dogs, like small dogs and all that, so it is pet friendly lah. Then how do you like your space? Do you want it to be more isolated, quiet, or do you want it to be more rowdy and more happening? I prefer a more quiet and isolated place, so I chose this place that around my area it's not really blocked by any tall buildings, and it's actually full of greens all around me, and I love it that way. And facilities, like I said, do you want it to be more integrated? Do you want it to be integrated to a mall or to a grocery store? Like you walk downstairs and then there's already facilities. Like one of the space that my friend lived in is like McD is just right downstairs, and there's a drive-thru near her house, so there's a lot of traffic and movement going on at her place. But I wouldn't like that, so I didn't take that option. And also, would you be hosting a lot? How's your visitor parking and things like that? After you're there at the place and you decide that, okay, this is the living space that you want, then you have to really journey your user experience when you're at the place. How I evaluated it was the assigned car park like near to the lift, because I don't like to walk a very long distance to my house. But my apartment is actually very deep in as well. So if my car park is far as well, and then my apartment also very deep inside, I have to walk very long, and I'll be too lazy lah. Either too lazy to go out or too lazy to come back home, which is something that I don't want. When I walked into my space, I really felt that it was really bright, it was calm, it was quiet, and that's why I chose this place. And also one thing for apartments, right, the lifts. Okay, when you get into a lift, who are the people that you're with? Are you comfortable? Do you feel safe? And is the lift slow or fast? So according to my friend, her lift is really slow, and she stayed like all the way up in like 20 something floors, so she has to wait very long for the lift, and that like really discouraged her to go out, or when she comes home she has to wait so long and stuff like that. My floor is actually at 10 something floor on it, so it's fine, and my lift is pretty fast. You have to also try to go maybe during peak hour, maybe during lunchtime, or during coming back home on work time or going to work time, and how many people are actually using the lift and how long will that be. And then you also have to find out how long the building has been built. So when you actually go to iProperty or Property Guru, you can actually check that out, and from there you can also check it out how much actually the price per square feet for the place. Is the landlord racking up the rent too much? Is it worth that much? So those are the things that you can check on the website as well. So I actually checked it, and my landlord didn't rack it up that much, and since mine is a bare unit, she couldn't ask for much either. When you're looking for your space, you also have to look at, do you want it partially furnished, or do you want it furnished, or do you want it to be a bare unit? Do you have furnitures that you are bringing? So from my previous place, I actually have a lot of furnitures. So I chose a place that is like mostly bare, but at least has water heater, because those come into cost when you want to install them and all that, and those are the things that you can do to cut costs lah. So I already had my furniture, so I needed a space who can house my things and not just move in. So it depends on you're renting a room or you're renting the entire space to yourself. So I'm renting the entire space to myself, so therefore I chose a bare unit because I would like to furnish my own stuff. Because of that, like my rent is lower as well for 2 years, and I calculated already in the least that 2 years that I'm taking, and that 2 years how much I'm going to be spending for rent. So the next thing is coming back to having a good relationship with your agent. So after you have decided and this place spark joy, okay? It is exactly what you look for. It's time to negotiate. Yes, rent price is stated on the website, but you can still negotiate with your agent. So this is where having a good relationship with your agent comes into help, because my agent actually managed to help me cut the rent down, ask for certain things, install certain things at the landlord expense. When you have a good relationship with your agent, she can vouch for you, because when you're choosing the place, the landlord are also choosing the tenants as well. So she was vouching for me that I'm a good tenant and I will be staying here, and I got to lower down the rent because I was leasing for 2 years instead of 1 year as well. And also the unit's bare, so there will be hackings and stuff that I need to do. So I actually got to move in earlier without charges, move in certain things I want to move in first, install the aircon and brought in the washing machine and the fridge first. Unfortunately, they do look at your job and the financial standing, because my friend worked in a good MNC and another friend wasn't. So that friend who works in a good MNC company actually got a lot more calls and easier to deal with to get a place for her own as well. Then the last thing is, before you make your final decision and sign the paper, you can ask your close friend or a trusted friend to come have a look as well, so they can pick up things that you have overlooked and you can note it down and speak with your agent, so your agent can relay it to your landlord. For mine was that my living room fan wasn't working. Like, I overlooked that. Like, you can just on it, but then the controller was actually not working, and so was my room. And all the lights, all the taps, all your toilet, your flushing, your bidet, your shower and all that, is good to have another pair of eyes to actually look through the things, even things down to like the windows, the hinges of the windows. One of them wasn't opening properly, so they have to fix that as well before I moved in. Because once you move in, it's gonna take a while for you to fix, or the landlord might pin it on you and actually deduct from your deposit that you're the one that actually broke it. But it was not lah. I'm lucky because my friend did note down like certain things that I need to note down lah, like my kitchen sink, my lights as well, whether I can change it to warm light, whether they are the one folding it, and they actually changed the fan as well for me because the fan wasn't working and wasn't working that well, so they changed the fan and now everything is working and everything is in good condition. Even comes down to the doorknobs and stuff like that. Then I finally made my decision and I signed the agreement, gave the booking fee, gave the agreement fee and signed the agreement, and I actually got to move in earlier, like I said, to put in my stuff. And my agent was very accommodating in handing in the keys and where to take the keys, where will she return me the key. It made the moving in less stressful. And then comes to the moving time, which I will cover in another video, because I think that's another whole ass video in itself about the moving. It was stressful, but honestly, from my own experience and things I can share, hopefully the things I can share will make it less stressful for you, and the things that I planned also made it less stressful for me when I'm unpacking. So if you have any more questions about renting in Malaysia or KL, you can put it down in the comment below and let me know, and I'll try to either reply in a comment or actually consolidate them and answer it in another video.